Hello everyone, Johnny Minder here, and today we are continuing to learn Japanese with Pokémon Snap. Last time we did almost all our first Professor Oak's check in Japanese. According to the English writing, Dr. Okido's check. I think in Japanese with katakana only Okido check, but we'll see again when we see it another time. But yeah, we did most of that. We only had the final screen. So today we'll start with that by loading our save, and then we'll continue from there. Okay, without further ado, let's start. Okay, as you can see, I'm on Pokemon Stadium because I played that yesterday, mostly just for fun, but yeah. Let's open Pokemon Snap, and let's open actually the menu to this menu to load our save state. And yeah, as you can see here, we were here at the last screen of the Pokémon Report, the Pokémon of the Oak's check. At the top we can see, as I've already said, Pokémon Report. So yeah, Pokémon Report, or better, Pokémon Report, but because in this case it's a noun, but actually, and we'll check just to be completely sure, I think we have seen that in Japanese it only has the accent on the po. So ripoto, repoto. Okay, that's okay. It was on repoto. In the middle, we see on the other hand, first on the top left, Pokemon no Kazu. We have Pokemon, of course. Then we have no, the possessive particle, and then Kazu, which means number. We check its accent as usual. Number, and so also amount. And yeah, as I was correct, it's accented on the first syllable, so Kazu. To the right of that, we have the number 0. In Japanese, we have the pronunciation for 0, which are either 0 from English, but also re, accented on the first syllable also. I'd say, well, technically in this case, then we have a counter of Chinese origin, so it would technically be re, but I wouldn't be surprised if it were also pronounced 0 instead, as that's often heard in Japanese nowadays. And honestly, I haven't seen a particular rule either way. So yeah, if you find 0, of course you will immediately recognize it. Or if you find re, especially with its kanji, but we'll see that when the time comes. That's the 0, the number 0, and also, of course, in the sense of not. But yeah, then after that we have a counter, shu. As I mentioned, the Chinese counter, it's the Chinese reading of the kanji used for this. And when used as a suffix in general, but also a counter, as we can see here, it means kind, variety, species, as in biological species. Honestly, would work also in that sense, but yeah, in general, kind, variety, and then, of course, also species by extension. Then we have Repoto no Tokuten. Again, report, then the possessive particle no. Then we have Tokuten, and by the way, again, pay attention to the U between of Ku, because it's very hard, if at all, being between unvoiced consonants, Tokuten. We should have seen this before. I think it was unaccented, but yeah, its meaning is score, because it's literally the two kanjis used for this are the one that means to earn, to get, and then 10, the usual points. And so yeah, scoring, score, as in points made, marks obtained, even better. And yeah, it was unaccented. But yeah, simply in general, score. We have again the 0, and then 10, again 10 as in points, used as a counter. Then we have what Oak says. Konkai no kekka o Pokémon Report ni shirushite okuzo. First and foremost, we have Konkai. We've already seen it before, I think, also in the previous episode. It means this time, so now. He uses the kanji for now, the first one, the second one, again kai, the usual a time, an instance, also used as a counter for occurrences. Konkai, by the way, accented on the first syllable, so be careful, an exception compared to, as we have seen, more often than not, these Chinese compounds are unaccented, but yeah, there are some accented on the first syllable and so on, and yeah, we have seen some of them, like in our case, Konkai. Then we have the possessive particle no, again. Then we have Kekka, which means result. Other extended meanings, consequence, outcome, effect, as it says also in the dictionary. Also used as an adverb as a result of, as a consequence of, by extension, after something, following something. But yeah, the fundamental meaning is result. Kekka, and this one is unaccented as expected. Again, it's a Chinese compound of two characters. Then we have the object particle o, written as wo and pronounced as such in careful speech and singing. Then we have again Pokémon Report. Notice that in this case we don't even have the dot in the middle, working kind of like a space or a hyphen, because honestly you can avoid it. But yeah, for English words, not strictly Japanese or Chinese words, you can use it with that use as mentioned before. But yeah, not strictly necessary, and in this case we see it all together. Then we see we have the particle ni, to, as in into. We see in which sense, depending according to the following verb, which is shiruste, and then we have oku as an auxiliary verb and the final sentence particle. So, but let's focus first and foremost on shiruste. It comes from shirusu. Let me check its accent, but it means to write down, note down. Similar meanings, to take note of, other extended meanings, but let's focus on these since these are the fundamental ones. Write down, take a note of. Let's see its accent. Okay, an accent, shirusu. Good thing we checked. Write down into, technically, write down in the Pokémon Report, and that's why we have that ni as the particle. It's a verb code and verb, so to make that a form, like in this case, we have to follow the rules. Luckily, it's in su, so it's easy. Simply make the continuative form. We change the u into i, and then add te. We make that a form in this case to add then the auxiliary verb oku. On its own, as a verb, it means to put, to place, and yeah, it's unaccented, as I remembered. We have seen it at least once before in one of these series, I think this one. As an auxiliary verb after the form of verbs, it means either to do something in advance, or to leave something in a certain state, to keep it in a certain state. I'd say in this case it's actually the doing something in advance, as in Professor Oak is writing down the results of this time, because of course they'll be useful for later for his research. But yeah, then we have last but not least the final sentence particle. So male language, male term, adds force or as a command. I'd say honestly also kind of force in the sense simply of emphasis, as we have seen other times. Yeah, the translation, the full translation is the result. I implied write down for later, and that's what the oku, te oku forms means. I write down for later in the Pokémon Report the results of this time of and yeah, now we can continue. We got to hear again Professor Oak, but yeah, before checking what he said, including what we have just heard. Now our results have been written down. As he said, now we see the number of Pokemons, 8 kinds, 8 species, because in this case our current total of the score for the report. I'll quickly check the accent for the as we have seen for the 10 with a number 10 before it, like in our case, it becomes to 10 accent on the te. We'll check for shu instead. Got the physical dictionaries as usual. Both, even though the one we need now is the one with the accents for the counters, or better, numeral counters combinations. This time not at the end, but actually at the start of this final part of the dictionary. We have the table with all these accents for the counters. Let me go there. Yeah, and while I was going to the one that interests us today, I can confirm that 10, yes, it's, as I mentioned, accented on the te for most, but there are some exceptions for most numbers. While now, let's check shu. Shu should be... yeah, it's here. Okay, and it's actually an easier one, since it doesn't change, there aren't exceptions. It's always the accent before the shu. Well, there are exceptions when it comes to the accent itself, but you have to be careful because usually for the numbers 1, 8 and 10, the number itself is shortened and we had a double consonant. For our, for example, well, for the number 1, which is one we have seen quite often, it would be ishu instead of ichi shu. The chi it's shortened, becomes the double consonants of the following consonant. So I, shu, ishu. Same for our number, which is 8, usually hachi. Hachi should be accented on its own on the chi, but we'll quickly check. And yes, it's accented on the last syllable, usually hachi. Of course, when pronounced on its own, can be the accent can move on the ha simply because the c can be barely heard, if at all, at the end of a sentence, because it's I or U, and there's an unvoiced consonant before it. But yeah, usually hachi. But yeah, with this counter, it becomes ha shu. So ha then the doubling of the consonants instead of C, and then shu, hashu. But yeah, again, the accent, on the other hand, is regular, is always before the shu itself, so on the syllable before it. So ha in this case, the first. But yeah, now that we have seen that, we can finally check Ox dialogue here, starting with Jitsu Wana. He said, we even heard his voice. First and foremost, we have Jitsu, or better, it's Jitsu Wa, then is an addition. It's an expression, but actually it's simply Jitsu, accented on the last syllable. It's a noun, which means truth, reality, also sincerity, honesty. But yeah, the fundamental meaning is truth. And then we simply add the topic particle wa, written as ha. So literally it would be as for the truth. And so yeah, as is an expression which means as a matter of fact, technically by the way, but even closer to it, to tell you the truth, to be honest, frankly. And yeah, so it has these meanings, and then we simply add this this na. Again, I'd say in this case it could be either I'd say in this case simply the now, which means now, well, you know. And so yeah, for confirmation, emphasis, actually similar to yo, as we have seen before. So yeah, as a matter of fact, you know. Then we have the name of our protagonist, Toru. A lot of suspension dots. And then after that we have Otto. You might have guessed it, again, also because of the to at the end. It's yet another exclamation. In this case, to in this case would be again the quotation particle used for quotation with n, in this case o. Notice the small tsu, which becomes the doubling of the following to, but on its own would mean actually that the o is shortened, ends abruptly. Otto, so with an o. Let's see. Okay, according first and foremost is as expected, accent on the first syllables on the o. Its meanings are oops, or sorry. Well, wouldn't say sorry exactly, but more like that those or oops. Since but yeah, the meaning is as because he realizes quote unquote mistake. In this case, simply what it says after. 研究所に、戻ってからだな。First and foremost, we have 研究所, which means, well, comes from 研究, which means, I think we have seen it at least once before, research, as in study and investigation, but yeah, the fundamental meaning research. Chinese compound, so luckily as expected, unaccented. And then in this case we simply add jo, which as a suffix means often technically would be sho, and then it simply becomes voiced. But there are other cases when used as a suffix where it's not, there isn't this change, it doesn't become voiced. Depends on the words. But yeah, sho means is the Chinese reading of the kanji, which means we've seen that, I think, Tokoro. It's the one also in Basho. It means place, spot, scene. The fundamental meaning place. So place where place of research. A research institute, a research laboratory. And so yeah, we have that. Its accent is actually unaccented. We'll quickly check in the other dictionary. If that's always the case, I think that might be that when we add that suffix, it becomes always unaccented, but there are some that don't have this luxury of these rules. Yeah, no, unfortunately I see here that they can be unaccented. Well, technically also accented seems on the last syllable, but as we know, it isn't surprising since when pronounced on their own without adding particles, like unlike this case where we have a particle, words accented on the last syllable are pronounced the same as the unaccented ones. But yeah, in this case we then have the particle ni, to, as in the direction, or even better, not just direction, but where one arrives at, to distinguish it from e written as he, which is strictly technically only direction. And we have that because then we have a verb, modoru. We have seen it multiple times in various series. It means to return, accented on, yeah, so a verb of motion. We have to make here it's the form, it's u verb, codon verb, so we have to follow the rules. It's in ru, so it becomes double consonant te, most likely because it was once modo ri te, but then he fell and odor te, difficult to pronounce, became the doubling of the consonant and before the te. So odotte. The accent for te forms is on the third to last syllable, so in this case it stays the same. We make the te form in this case to then add kara, which means when we use it after the te form of a verb, it has the meaning after, since, in this case, unlike usually, because more often than not, then you'd find you'd have the te form of a verb and kara, and then the rest of a sentence. But in this case, we actually simply add then the copula da in plain speech, na again as a final sentence particle. I'd say same meanings as for the jitsu wana, so simply similar to yo. But yeah, in this case, it's after doing the action of the verb. In other cases, it would be after doing the action of the verb and then the rest of the sentence. So the action of the te form happens before that, and after that something else happens. Yeah, the translation so becomes that implied it's after returning to the lab, literally research place, so research lab, and then of course the usual and similar meanings for the final sentence particle. So yeah, simply that exclamation otto, oops, is because Professor Rock realized that he should tell us what he was about to say after returning to the lab. And that's what actually happens, and that's why we also have all those suspension dots at the start. Yeah, we can continue. Go back to the lab and see what Professor Rock has to say to us. First and foremost, he says, Toru ga totte kita shashin o misete moratta zo. First and foremost, we have Toru, the name of our protagonist, then the subject particle ga. Then we have totte kita. First and foremost, we have the verb totte, again from Toru, to take. In this case, specifically to take pictures, and we'd use a different kanji compared to the usual to take in general. Not in this case, of course, since we write exclusively in kana. It's a verb godan verb, so to make that a form, we have to follow the rules. It's in ru, and so it becomes again double consonant te. We make that a form to add then kita, so the verb kuru, to come, and so again the te form plus the verbs of to go and to come, kuru, to come, iku, unaccented by the kuru accented, iku unaccented, iku, to go, simply to say in which direction that action happens. literally would be, and in this case it would be perfect, took the pictures and came to me, because of course it's from Oak's point of view, so Toru comes to Professor Oak after taking the pictures. I used past because we have a past form in Kita, data form of Kuru. Kuru is unfortunately completely irregular, just like Suru, to do. So we have to simply remember that its ta form is also ta form is Kita. Should technically be accented on the key, but since the E is barely heard if at all, usually then the accent also moves and so goes on the last syllable instead. Now, on the ta or te. Ta, and so the past form of the verb in plain speech. In this case, then we have a noun, and so what comes before it is a relative clause referred to that noun which is shashin, unaccented, again Chinese compound. It means photographs, photos, pictures. Then we have the object particle o. Then we have the verb misete, and then also moratta, but it's auxiliary verb, and also zo. But let's focus first on misete, from miseru, which means to show, accented. Actually comes from miru, to see, to watch, to look at. Miseru is actually simply, most certainly, an older form, a classical form of the causative. To make someone look at, and yes, so to show them. Miseru, just like miru, by the way, are ru verb than verb, so to make the te form, but also the ta form, it's the same rules. We simply drop the ru and add te. And yeah, we get its te form. Since it's the accent is on the third to last syllable if the verb is accented, in this case it moves mi se ru on the second to last in its dictionary and also final form. Te form third to last, and so it moves on the previous syllable on the mi se te. Te form required to then add moratta, from morau, one of the verbs of giving, well, in this case, simply receiving. It means to receive. It's unaccented, being, since it's after the te form of a verb, it actually means receiving the favor of someone else doing the action of the te form, of the verb in the te form. Then, of course, here we have to change it into its ta form. Morau is a u verb, codan verb, so we have to follow the rules. It's in u, and so it becomes double consonant ta. As usual, that's because actually the verbs in U were actually in pu, fu, but at first pronounced as pu. So morapi te, morapi ta, the E fell, and so morapta, difficult to pronounce, becomes the doubling of the consonant. Moratta, ta form, and so the past form in plain speech simply. And then, as usual, so force, I'd say simply emphasis. So yeah, he says simply I received the favor of Toru, implied in this case. Well, or we could say that the Toru get at the start refers also to this, even though it would be if it were actually explicited with the particle ni, since that's used with the verb morau. Yeah, the meaning is, of course, Toru. I received the favor of Toru showing me, implied, the photos that Toru, in this case explicited, is the Toru ga at the start, took and came here. And yeah, that's the translation. 写真はわしのポケモンレポートにしまっておいた。First and foremost, we have again 写真, photos, photo or photos, but of course in this case plural because we took more than one. Well, we have shown more than one because of what they said before. Then the topic particle wa. So as for the photos, then we have washi. It's the first person singular pronoun. In this case, the one used by older people, by the elderly. As I mentioned before, we've seen them during the previous series in particular. The extended form would be watakushi. Notice the watakushi, and then of course the is between unvoiced consonants, so per the heard effect of watakushi. It's actually formal in this case. The more common form is the slightly abbreviated watashi. That's the most common pronoun used for I. But yeah, then we have this form, washi, further reduced and becomes the one for the elderly. Then we have the possessive particle no, so of me, so my. Pokémon Report, of course, again Pokémon Report. Then we have the particle ni, again to, I'd say into. Then we have the verb shimatte. In this case, should be from shimau. We've seen it with its meaning to finish, to stop, to end. Also as an auxiliary after the form of other verbs. With the same to do completely, as in to finish, and so by extension to do completely. Or to end up doing, to do accidentally. But in this case, it's actually another meaning of the verb on its own, which is to put away, to put back, to keep, to store. And yeah, it simply means, most likely as in, related again by, to the meaning, to finish, to stop, to end. although potentially it could be the other way around, that the original meaning was to put away, to put back, to keep, to store, and then by extension became to finish, to stop, and so on. Honestly, would make more sense, or at the very least it's useful to think it that way to remember all its meanings. But yeah, then we make that a form. It's a verb code and verb, so we have to follow the rules. It's in U, so again double consonant te. We make that a form in this case to then add oita from again oku, to put, to place, but of course here it's in its oku an accent, so oita. In this case, again, after the form of a verb, an auxiliary becomes an auxiliary with the meaning either to do something in advance, like in this case, let's say, or to leave something, to keep something in a certain state. Yeah, in this case, do something in advance, again, in the meaning, I'm doing this for it to be useful later. Then oku is a verb code and verb, so to make that a form, also it's the form, we have to follow the rules. It's in ku, so it becomes ita. Most likely, again, it became first the continuative form ki. We had the ta, but then the k fell, and so only I remained, o I ta. And yeah, simply that form, so the past form in plain speech of the verb. So the translation becomes, as for the photos, I implied put them away into my Pokémon Report. Again, we could also add for later to explicit the meaning of, also in English, of that oita. For later usage, of course, because it will be useful for Ox research. Yeah, we can continue. Then it says this. レポートの写真が増えてきたら、わしも手助けしよう。First and foremost, we have again report. Then we have the possessive particle no. Then we have again 写真, photos. So the photos of the report. Then we have the subject particle ga. As already mentioned before, that often when explicited, the subject of the main clause coincides with the topic particle, and so the topic particle replaces ga, and so we only find wa usually for it. In our previous sentence, we had ga instead because it was the subject of the relative clause, and that's useful to remember, because when you find the subject in ga, it could be because it's the subject of the relative clause. That's while the one in wa, because there could be both the one, the topic, of course, of the full sentence, and also the subject of the main clause, the main verb. But yeah, the subject particle ga, in this case, by the way, not just also say other secondary clauses, like in this case, as we'll see soon enough. After that, we have the verb fouetter and then kitara. But yeah, first and foremost, fouetter from foueru, to increase, to multiply. Yeah, the fundamental meaning to increase. We check its accent. Okay, yeah, accented. There's a distinction technically with the kanji. There's one used in general, another one used specifically for population growth or capital appreciation. Yeah, we'll see those when the time comes. But yeah, to increase, it's a ru verb, it's a verb, so to make that a form, we simply drop the ru and add te. The form required because then we had kitara from kuru again to come. We make first and foremost the ta form, which is kita. We simply have to remember it. In this case, we make the ta form to then add ra. The ta ra is one of the forms of the conditional if, when, also when in a temporal sense, but yeah, conditional or temporal, temporal by extension, but yeah, fundamental conditional. Since this form of the conditional uses the ta form as a base, it has the peculiarity of putting the focus on the action of the verb in the first sentence having happened before the one in the main coming after that can happen. So yeah, first in this case the photos of the report have to must have increased, and then something else can happen. We see what that something else is. And yeah, then again we have the te kuru form, so simply well, in this case it could be technically physically, as in the photos increase and come to the lab, but also in this case, and honestly might be even a better explanation in this case, the te kuru form and the te iku forms can also have a temporal meanings. Te kuru up to this point, te iku from this point onwards. Yeah, we'll see also what makes more sense when we translate fully. Let's continue. Then we have washi again, so I, the one used by the elderly, because again Professor Oak is old. Then we have the inclusive particle mo, so also, even. After that we have technically a compound noun, but it actually comes from a verb, tedaske. Should be, yeah, no, actually it's not used as a verb. There isn't a verb nowadays, te dasukeru. But yeah, first and foremost we have te on its own, which means hand. I think we have even studied its kanji in a previous series. Should be accented, if I remember correctly. Yes, it is. But then we would have taske here in this case with the voicing of the consonants, so we had the duck 10 because it's the second part of a compound of strictly Japanese origin, and we have seen that more often than not that change happens. Tasuke actually comes, and that's what I was referring to. Tasukeru, it's accented, okay, so was correct. Notice the U in of the su, it's between unvoiced consonants, so barely heard if at all. Tasuke, Tasukeru, which means to save, as in to rescue. By extension, to help, to assist. Other similar meanings, but yeah, these are the fundamental ones. To save, as in to rescue, and to help. Then we can, it's a ru verb, it's an verb, so we can drop the ru to make the continuative form. And so the corresponding noun, tasuke, accented luckily on the last syllable, so regular, means assistance, help, aid, support, reinforcement. Yeah, we say that as the verb to help, to assist, and so assistance, help, aid, and so on. So yeah, in this case we have this compound which combines hand and help, assistance. So we could say in a way helping hand more literally, but yeah, in translation then in our also in the dictionary it simply says help, assistance. So simply it's a noun, but it's a noun that we can then transform into a verb by adding the verb suru, to do. So literally to do an assistance, better in English to give some implied assistance. And yeah, we have suru in this case. In this particular case, we have its volitional form. We simply have to remember that suru, it becomes in the volitional form shio, you, so long yo, volitional form in its most common meaning, which is let's. Or even better, no, sorry, in this case, because it doesn't make sense with the usual meaning let's, we have seen that the volitional form actually has the meaning, and that's why it's called volitional. I will help in the sense that someone, the speaker, is willing to do, has the intention of doing the action of the verb. And so yeah, we can now translate. If, or even better in this case, let's say when the photos of the report increase, we could say come to an increase technically with for that tekuru. Yeah, then when that happens, I will, as in he's offering, his intention is to give some assistance. And yeah, we have even I also will offer, will give some assistance. And yeah, it's simply saying that. So we can continue. He says then this. 頼んだぞ、通るよ. First and foremost, we have again tanonda from tanomu. We have seen it in this very series. Tanomu means to request, to beg, to ask, fundamentally mean to request. Also to, by extension, to entrust to someone, or even better, one of its fundamental meanings, from, of course, that to request, is to rely on, also used as an expression, please do. I'd say in this case simply rely on, though it's similar. Tanomu should be accented if I recall correctly. Yes, it is. Then we have to make the ta form. In this case, it's a verb, Godan verb, so we have to follow the rules. It's in mu, and so it becomes n, da. Most likely it used to be mi, the continuative form, ta no mi ta. But then the mi became the I fell, or simply be the ta no m da, so simply the nasal consonant on its own n, ta non, and that changed the following ta into da, voiced it, because often that happened when happens when an unvoiced consonant is follows the nasal mora. But yes, so tanomu, we get its ta form tanonda. Then we have again zo. Then we have the name of our protagonist, Toru, and then we have this yo. In this case, more than a final sentence particle, even though technically it's at the end, it's actually simply after the name of our protagonist, as in, hey, when you call out to someone. We could say kind of like a vocative. But yeah, I'm counting on you. That's the meaning of that tanonda. Technically, as in the past, because I have requested, implied your help. So again for force, so emphasis simply, let's say Toru, they are simply, again, because we are calling out, is calling out to our protagonist, kind of a vocative. Then again we have Otto, so oops, literally with an O. Because again he realized something that he didn't do, which is what he says after. Pokémon Report o mirare ru yoni shite oko. First and foremost, we have again Pokémon Report. Then we have the object particle o. Then we have mirareru, which actually is in this case the potential form of the verb miru. We have seen miru as to see, to watch, to look at. to make the potential form, because it's a ru verb, it's a verb, we have to change the u into a and then add re ru. Technically, this is also the passive form of the verb, and that applies also to other ru verbs than verbs. In practice, but it's a colloquial usage technically, we could drop the ra and so make a re ru, simply re ru form for the potential. But yeah, in this case we don't have it. It definitely is the potential form in this case, as we'll see also by the meaning. After that we have the name, the noun yo, yo-u, so long yo. We have seen it before. After nouns, form, style, design, and so by extension like, similar to. After verbs, it means either way to, method of doing the action of the verb, appearing or looking by extension. In this case, I'd say its meaning is more so that it is like that. In our case, so that it can be seen. Because this yo-ni is associated with the following shite. Again, the verb suru, to do, and so in this case, to make it so that suru, then we make that a form shite, because then we add, of course, again oko from again oku, do in advance. Or do something now, we could say also do something now to use it later, as in that sense, because it will be useful later. Oku, it's a u verb, godan verb, so we can change the u into o and add u, so o-u, long o, to make the evolutional form. And yeah, I'd say in this case still, well, in this case we could simply say let's, as in let's. So yeah, the translation. Let's make it so you can see, you can look at, better in this case, look at the Pokémon Report, the Pokémon Report. And yeah, so that oops is because he realized he didn't give access to the Pokémon Report before. And yeah, now it shows up. But yeah, I'd say we can take our usual break now. After seeing that, when we will be back, I'd say we can, well, at least see these, potentially also the options of the Pokémon Report, but we might also keep those for later, honestly. We'll quickly check out these. Because honestly, I'd like to at least play. Not sure if we'll also be able to check the writings after it, but at least play a new course. So yeah, let's see you in around 5 minutes. Sorry, not this. This. And we are back. And yeah, so we can continue. First and foremost, let's check what it says here about the Pokémon Report. It says, first and foremost, Mitsuketa Pokémon. We have the verb mitsukeru, a compound verb from miru, again, to see, to look at, to watch. Then we have, well, of course, we then make its continuative form by dropping, it's a ru verb, it's a verb, so by dropping the ru. So we have mi, and then add tsukeru, again the usual one, which means to attach, to join, to connect, to add, and so on. So literally to add to attach seeing, and so mitsukeru luckily also unaccented, so unlike tsukeru, which is accented, so be careful. But yeah, mitsukeru means to find, to discover, to come across. You might understand why we have this compound, because to find, to discover, to spot. So yeah, when you find or discover something, you technically spot something. And so there's a seeing involved. And yeah, it's technically applying this seeing. Yeah, this is why we have this compound verb with the meaning to find, to discover. It's like tsukeru, of course. It's a ru verb, it's a verb, so we can drop the ru and to add ta to make the ta form. So found. In this case, preceding a noun, and so referred and modifying it. Technically, it's not a clause in this case, but it's a verb in a relative position with an attributive meaning. Now, the noun modified is, of course, Pokemon, so found Pokemon. And then we have, of course, how many we have found, the usual counter for this, our current number, so Hashu, 8 species. As we have seen before, Shu, kind, variety in general, but also species, and species, let's say, as biological species, makes sense in this context. Then we have again report no top 10, so the score, literally points obtained of the report, our current points, ending in 70, so a 10, so ju 10, the accent on the 10. But yeah, I'd say we can actually, at this point I'd rather see it now, so that we don't have to check it later. We open the Pokémon Report. And yeah, for now, actually, we only have, well, we have actually several writings. We'll start with the ones in the middle. First and foremost, we have Pokémon Report in English also, but then also Pokémon Report in kana, with the dot in the middle again, because technically, of the space between Pokémon and report, or like an hyphen. Under that, we have first and foremost Atsumeta Pokémon, similar meaning to the one we have just seen, but here we use the verb Atsumeru. We check its accent, but its meaning is to collect, assemble together. Atsumeru, accented. The intransitive form of the verb is Atsumaru, so same meanings but intransitive, so to gather, something gathers, but here we gather something instead. Again, in Eru the transitive, in Aru the intransitive, and so the intransitive is actually a classical form of the passive, which then became the intransitive form of the verb. This is the transitive form we have here, Atsumeru. It's a verb, it's an verb, so we can drop the ru to add the ta to make the ta form, and so collected, assembled, gathered, modifying the following Pokemon again, just like for the Mitsketa we have just seen. Collected Pokemon, and again Hashu 8 species. Again we have Repoto no Tokuten, so the score, the obtained points of the report, our current score. And after the line we see Repoto no Pokemon no Fuyasu no ja. First and foremost, again, Repoto, report, no, the possessive particle, Pokemon, the Pokemon, so the Pokemon of the report, the object particle O, and then we have Fuyasu, which is the transitive form of the verb we have seen before, Fueru. So the intransitive form, something increases. In this case, to increase something, the transitive form, notice that we have this ya in the transitive form, then we have of course again this su, so a su, while in the other one we have eru, so the asu form most likely a classical form of the causative. We have a ya most likely because the eru used to be ye-ru. Yeah, that's simply, but then it disappeared the ye from that one and remained only in this in the transitive form. Yeah, simply the meaning against the same, but in the transitive to increase. Last but not least, we have no ja. Again, no, the nominalizer for verbs can also be translated as fact and so on. Matter, similar to koto, thing as in matter. Then we have the copula ja in this case because it's Professor Ox saying it, and so ja the one used by all characters in fiction. The noda, nodes, in our case noja, form, it is that simply, literally, but in the sense the explanation is that the fact is that, and so on. And so yeah, the fact is that in this case, let's say implied you should increase the Pokemon of the report. Then we have these options on the left. First and foremost, we have the one at the top, simply Pokémon Report, so Pokémon Report. Then we have Besto Shotto, so best shot from English. We search for Besto, but I hope it will be accented just like in English. And it is. So on the first syllable, Besto. Notice again also the U in Su, barely heard if at all because it's between unvoiced consonants. Shotto, of course, shot, but we should have seen that before and should be accented as usual, yes, on the first syllable. At the bottom we see Kenkyujo. So to the researcher's place, literally, so to the research lab. We quickly, well, of course, by choosing that, we'll go back to the lab, which we'll do in a second. Let's first choose the other options. Okay, here we can see at the top, again, Pokémon Report. In the middle, we see at the top, in the order number, with the abbreviation number plus circle. Then we have Namae. We've seen it before. It means name, often as a given name, but in this case simply name, as in the names of the Pokemon. Unaccented. Kosu, course from English. Course, accented by the way, in the same way as English, so on the first syllable. The course where you find that Pokemon for that photo specifically, because technically some Pokemon can be found in more than one course, as we'll soon see. Top 10, again, obtain points, literally gain points, so the score for that Pokemon. On the left, we have these options. First and foremost, Miru, again, to see, to look at, to watch. Then we have this option, Narabe Gae. It's a compound noun, technically from two verbs. I'm curious if no, I can't find. Sorry, I think maybe simply Narabe Kae could be. Yeah, and it is simply Narabe Kae. I was curious if I could find it also as is in the dictionary, and I found it. But yeah, simply it comes from two verbs. First and foremost, we have the one Narabe from Naraberu. Actually unaccented, so Naraberu. The transitive form, which means to line up, to set up, better, to arrange in a line. By extension, to enumerate, to itemize, and other extended meanings, but the fundamental one is to line up, as in to arrange in a line. The intransitive form of the verb is narabu, again, to line up, as in to stand in a line. Again, we have a case of the verb in u, intransitive, the one in eru, transitive. Yeah, in this case we have the Naraberu. Naraberu is ru verb is then verb, so we can drop the ru to make the continuative form. In this case, we require to then add the second part of the compound, which is kae from kaeru. This one in particular is a different one compared to other ones we have seen before, because this one means to replace. I think actually still related to the one we have seen kaeru, the one which means to change, not the one to return to go back, because that one is actually accented. But yeah, this one, like the one which means to change, is unaccented, so most likely related. It makes sense to change. Related as in to replace, to convert. And it also has technically the meaning to change, but yeah, this is to change as in specifically to replace with this kanji, which we would use. Or also to exchange with another kanji, and with a different one again to substitute a person, staff, and member, and so on. Yeah, in this case it's simply the one to replace. In this case then it's also in a verb in eru, a ru verb is then verb, so we can drop the ru to make the continuative form, and so the corresponding noun. But first, narabe kaeru can be used as a verb, which means, unfortunately, can't find the accent here. I'll try to look it in the physical dictionary. But yeah, first, the meaning, as we have seen, to line up the first verb, the other one to replace, to change. So technically, to change the lineup, and so the meaning is actually to rearrange, to reorder, to move around, to sort. By that, to move, well, if you rearrange, to reorder something, you put it in a figurative line. But in this case, you change it, and so rearrange, reorder. Yeah, I wanted to quickly check if I can find the accent here, even though I have some doubts. But sometimes we have found some accents in the physical dictionary not present in the online one plus plugin combo. Narabe. Yeah, no, in this case, no. But yeah, then of course we can make simply the corresponding noun of this verb, again by dropping the ru, since it's a ru verb, it's then verb also. And so we have narabe kae. Fortunately, we don't have the accent also of that. And so sorting, also in computing. Last but not least, we have this hyoshi e. E, again at the end we have the particle e, towards. Before that we have hyoshi, which is a Chinese compound, which means cover of a book, magazine, and so on. It's actually accented on the last syllable, so be careful, despite being a Chinese compound. But but yeah, it means cover because hyo on its own is the kanji which means surface. Other meanings, but the fundamental one is surface. Shi is the one which means paper. And so yeah, surface of the paper. Paper in the sense, of course, of book, magazines, and so on. And so yeah, the surface, and so the cover. And so yeah, to the cover of the Pokémon Report, so back to the previous screen. But first let's check these other options. Oh boy, we have these ones, but the sorting, first and foremost, it looks like a lot, but honestly it's easier than it looks. First and foremost, we have Pokemon, and then number, of course the abbreviation, so the number of the Pokemon. Then we have IUEO, so simply the order of the vowels in Japanese. So technically the Japanese syllabary in general, kana, simply IUEO, because that's the how you start it nowadays. I wonder if I can actually find the accent of that. Yeah, I found it in the physical dictionary. The accent would be on the U, so IUEO. IUEO. So low, high, high, low, low. Then we have Kosu Betsu, I think. Well, first and foremost, of course, pun intended, Kosu, so course. The other one, I think it's Betsu, even though you can barely see. I see, and yeah, it's Betsu because, yeah, when used as a suffix, and I thought so, but I confirmed it in the dictionary. When used as a suffix, it means classified by, ranked by, according to. Because Betsu, as we'll see, well, it's unaccented Betsu. As a noun, it's the Chinese reading of certain kanji. As a noun means distinction, difference, also technical discrimination. And so with that distinction, difference, by extension as a suffix becomes then according to implied the distinctions, the differences between the things, in our case the courses. Then we have again Top 10, again obtained points, so score. Last but not least, we have the option Modoru to return, and so to go back to the previous screen. Try to press, yeah. You simply hear the effect, it changes the sorting, of course. And as you can see, the current option is in red. Yeah, let's go back to the Pokemon number. Let's choose Miru this time. Let's pick one of them. Okay. Okay, first and foremost, before pressing again that button, let's see how it is here. Well, at the top again Pokémon Report as usual. Then we have the photo, under it immediately the name of the Pokemon, of course in Japanese, but a free, for example, in this case. Then we have course, again course, the course where you got this photo, you took this photo, beach in our case. Then we have cameraman, again the cameraman, so who took the photo. I don't. Yeah, and it's accented by the way on the ra in this case, so it's treated like compounds in Japanese, as we have seen more often. The accent in those is either on the first syllable of the second part or the last syllable of the first part. In this case, the first syllable of the first part, so the ra, cameraman, unlike in English. Toru, of course, and then again Tokuten obtain points score and the score. We can, even without pressing the button and choosing that option, which we'll see in a second, choose between them. The option on the top left is Kuwashiku, which comes from the adjective kuwashi, which means detailed. It's its fundamental meaning. By extension, knowing very well, knowledgeable, and so on. But yeah, the fundamental meaning is detailed. It's a adjective, so we can drop the e and add ku to make the adverbial form. And in this case, literally the adverb, and so in detail. Curious if I can find it also here. Yes, it is. I could also find it, yes, in detail, fully, minutely, at length, but yeah, fundamental, in detail. The accent should be on the wa, so on the third to last syllable, kuwashiku. That should be the rule if I recall correctly, but also considering that the E is barely heard if at all because of the C, because it's between voice consonants, but I'll quickly check. The accent for the, yeah, here it is. Not these forms, but this one. No, not these. Sorry. Wanted to quickly see. Sorry, but I'm looking for the table with okay, this is the one. Okay, good. I think I finally found it. Okay, no, this is the one with the particles, so nope. Not too bad I couldn't find it, but yeah, should be like that. Yeah, let's check in detail. And yeah, we got these details. First and foremost, well, again, we have everything above the name of the Pokemon is the same. Then we have special, which is special, as in the special additional points Oak can give you for certain Pokemon in certain conditions. By the way, accent on the P as expected, just like in English. And the U in su is barely heard if at all, so special. As we can see, nope, we can see it at all for now because it's a special category for certain photos in certain conditions, but we haven't seen it yet. Then we have Okisa, literally bigness from Oki, big, the E adjective, and we drop the E and add sa to make the corresponding noun. So bigness, literally, but yeah, then it becomes size. We've seen it before during the check. And by the way, Okisa was an accented, so be careful. Despite Oki being accented. We have pose, of course, pose. Accented just like in English, so the first syllable. Technique, was also accented. Sorry, in this case it was also a difference because it's actually accent on the first syllable in Japanese, so tekuniku, like in English. Be careful. Below that, we see ya, na, kanji, which I'm pretty sure that yana is simply an abbreviation of the dictionary doesn't find it, but like that, but because it's I think simply an abbreviation of iya, which we have seen before, then adjective, which means accent on the last syllable, disliking, not wanting, by extension unpleasant, disagreeable, an adjective, and so to add add a noun after it and modify that, we have to add a na, like in this case. Then it got abbreviated by dropping the e at the start. And then we have this kanji, not the one for the Chinese characters, but in this case, it should be kanji, which means it's a noun, which means unaccented also, which means feeling, sense, impression, fundamental meaning, feeling. It actually comes from the verb kanjiru, to feel, to sense, to experience, and so on. It's a Ruverbicidal verb, so we can drop the ru to make the corresponding noun, kanji. If we move to another photo, we can see that, yeah, the opposite is I kanji, so good feeling, so the correct technique, well, the other one wasn't. Here we can see also below the technique also nakama. We have seen it before during the check. It means companion, and so on. Other extended meanings from that, but the fundamental one is companion, because naka on its own, with this specific kanji, in this case, in this specific character, means relationship. Ma unaccented would mean time, pause, but space, so space of the relationship, and so it becomes actually companion, because we got multiple pieces in this photo. Yeah, nothing more for now. So we can press actually the Modoru button. I actually pressed the B, I think. Yeah, you can also press B or also press simply the button, Modoru. We do that again. And yeah, with that we've actually, here we have to press B, of course, to exit that. And so we can go back to the cover and actually go back to the lab. Okay, since we don't have much time, we won't be able to play the course, but the good news is that we'll play it at the start of the next episode, unless we start with some more options, which we should, since we haven't seen them. We still have some of those, but at least some. But yeah, after that we would start with the course. But I'll actually quickly open, since we still have some time, this option, the course ni iku, go to the course. Because we actually, Professor Oak says this. Toru nara tsugi no basho mo daijoubu da na. First and foremost, we have Toru, of course, the name of our protagonist. Then we have Nara. We have seen it before as it's an auxiliary. Technically, some might say particle nowadays, but it's technically an auxiliary or a conjugation. A conjunction. But actually an auxiliary because it comes from an old form of the copula, nari, which by the way is the origin also of the na we add to the na adjectives. In this case, in its irrealis form, the one used for the negative, for example. Irrealis, we could also say in an easier way, the not yet state form, because in Japanese, misenke means mi not yet, zen the state, and ke form. So yeah, the not yet for state form. But yeah, it's used nowadays as one of the forms for the conditional if, when. In this case, more if than when. Actually, only if, let's say. More conditional than temporal, unlike the other ones, which can be both. If, as in case, if it is the case that, if it is true that, as also says the dictionary here, can be used also as in as for on the topic of. So similar to the topic particle, but it's technically still that form of conditional. Literally, if it is the noun, in our case, if it is Toru, if it then and we have the rest of the sentence. First and foremost, Tsugi, which means next. Check its accent, should be on the last syllable. It is Tsugi. Next, following. It's a noun, and actually takes the genitive particle no to then modify the following noun. So next, something, tsugi no, tsugi no, which is in our case basho. I've already mentioned it, but I didn't translate it. It also means place, location, spot, position, area. it's a compound. Actually, a mix of strictly Japanese reading and a Chinese one. Sho, as mentioned, is the Chinese reading of the kanji for Tokoro, which also means place. Unaccented, by the way, Tokoro. And also unaccented, I think, pa on its own. Yep. Then we have the inclusive particle mo, so also even. Also the next place location. Then we have daijobu, quite an important na adjective. Sorry, I wanted to check its accent, but it should be on the jo, if I recall correctly. Daijobu, yes. Well, first and foremost, it's technically a compound because we have jobu on its own, which would mean would be unaccented because it's again a Chinese compound, which would mean healthy, robust, strong, solid, durable. By adding dai before it, dai as a prefix which means big, so big, large, big, strong, literally would be. But yeah, daijobu means safe, secure, sound, as in the safe sense, and between all the translations, there's also all right or right. Okay, as in safe, secure, sound. And it's quite important because it's used when asking if someone is okay, is alright. Daijobu desu ka? And yeah, by extension, it becomes also no thanks, I'm good, because that's alright. Yeah, that's closer to the translation, to the actual translation. That's alright. Yeah, also as an adverb, technically, certainly, surely, undoubtedly. Yeah, keep in mind fundamental meaning safe, secure, and so alright. Alright, okay. It's an adjective, so at the end of the sentence we have to, by the rule, technically add the copula, like in this case we follow the rule, and then we have an I again. As the final sentence particle, I'd say in this case maybe as in like in Kansai dialect, more like ne, maybe, but yeah, doesn't particularly change. The translation becomes if it is toru, then implied. Also, the next course should, I'd say in translation, but yeah, should be okay. And yeah, so I think I've just heard, but we'll hear it again when we unlock another one. I think our protagonist said yatta. Yatta comes from yaru, the verb which means to do. It's a colloquial form of suru, but when found in its ta form, it's a verb codant verb, so we have to follow the rules. It's in ru, so it becomes double consonant ta. But yeah, yatta, literally, I did it. And yeah, it's used as an interjection, as an exclamation for hooray, yay, we, and so on. Yes, literally, I did it. And yeah, we have this course. Say we can quickly also check this, so next time we can actually start it immediately, apart from potential options, and also the preview. The next course is the Tonneru. Tunnel, of course. Not sure exactly from which language because of the slightly different pronunciation, but and by the way, is unaccented in this case, so be careful also. Tonneru, but yeah, it means tunnel. Let's see its description quickly. Kurakute nagai tonneru da. First and foremost, we have kurakute from kurai. I think unaccented that it's an adjective which means dark, also gloomy, murky. By extension, also depressed, dispirited, as in a dark mood, also dark in color, dull, dark, for example, dark past and so on. But yeah, the fundamental meaning dark and all the potential extended meanings. It's a adjective, so we can change we can drop the e and add ku to make the adverbial form. In this case, required to then add te to make the form of the adjective. And so with it, in this case, required to make the usual meaning of the form. So the state in this case, because it's an adjective, it's that and the rest of the sentence. So dark and. Then we have nagai. I think in this case it would be yeah, it's simply don't mind the long the second a, because it's simply because to emphasis, because it's simply nagai, the adjective, which means should be accented, but which check it means long, of distance, length, but also time. Yeah, the fundamental meaning is long. Yeah, it's accented. So by add emphasis, they made it also longer in the vowel. So dark and long. And yeah, then of course there's the noun of those adjectives, which is again tonneru. And then last but not least, since it's a noun, the copula da in plain speech. So it's a dark and long tunnel. Then we have ukashi hatsuden sho ga atta tokoro ka. First and foremost, we have ukashi, which is a noun. I wouldn't be surprised if it were actually a classical form of an adjective, even though there isn't an adjective nowadays in modern Japanese, mukai. but yeah, mukashi, quickly check, but I doubt it. No, of course there are mukashi, let's check its accent, unaccented, okay, means a long time ago. I'd say that's the fundamental meaning, and so that's why I suspect it could be a classical form of an adjective that's said like that, and it isn't used more beyond this in Japanese. But now it's considered simply a noun. A long time ago, so also the old days, the past, former times. It's also used repeated twice, mukashi mukashi, as long ago, as in once upon a time, at the start of tales, fables, and so on. Mukashi mukashi, still unaccented. Then we have Hatsuden Sho. The show at the end, you might have already guessed, it's the same show for place. Hatsuden on its own would mean generation of electricity, power generation, yeah, literally generation of electricity, Chinese compound, so unaccented, luckily, as usual. Hatsu, we have actually seen its kanji in a previous series. It's the one for departure, emit, and that's why we have this generation. So literally would be start from. Yeah, so technically the emission, as in the starting point of emission of electricity, then is electricity. And then by adding sho, so place where you generate electricity, so a power plant, a power station. And luckily it's also an unaccented one, like also in this case. Then we have the subject particle ga. Then we have the verb atta, from aru, to be as in to exist, of inanimate things. Makes sense considering we have the power plant before, as it's the subject. The one for the most common one for animate ones, so people and animals, is iru. There is also oru, is as its humble form. It's a verb, Godan verb, so we have to follow the rules. It's in ru, so it becomes double consonant ta to make the ta form, and so in the past. And then we have a noun. So this is actually a relative clause modifying it, related to it. Now, which is again tokoro, already mentioned, means place. Then we have this ka, which should technically be still the usual interrogative particle. But in this case, since then we have these suspension dots, I'd say its meaning would be more. It seems as if it if it is, it seems that is, yeah, we'll see it now in translation. It seems that it's a place where long ago there used to be, there was simply in Japanese, a power plant. And last but not least, we have Doki Doki Suru Na. First and foremost, we have Doki Doki, which is an onomatopoeia. Should be accent on the first syllable, like most of those. Yes, it is. And it's thump thump, bang bang. In general. And so also see here pita pat and so on. But yeah, more often than not used as in thump thump of one's heart. And so when used with the verb suru, to beat fast of one's heart, to throb, to pound, to palpitate. And also figuratively, so one is throbbing, as in is excited for something. Here, a mix of excitement, but also potentially fear, considering that it's a dark and long tunnel. Yes, simply we make the verb with suru, and last but not least we have na, here long, and so with its meaning, because it expresses as a wow, ooh, express admiration, emotionality, and so on. And yeah, we have that. So we have checked its description, its name. So next time we'll be able to start with that, apart from potentially checking at least some of the remaining options. And yeah, we can save for now. We'll leave. Actually, I took the screenshot because I think we didn't check that at the end, because it disappeared last time we've seen that. And so we'll actually have that. We'll start with that, let's say. Let me first and foremost actually save here, so that we don't have that anymore. Okay, now we can actually close. Can close also here. And yeah, today we have finished that last part of the Pokemon, the Professor Oak's check, the final screen. We've seen what Oak had to say to us. We've seen all the options of the Pokémon Report. Last but not least, we've seen we've seen the unlocking of the new course. We checked, we've read, translated, and explained its description. So next time we'll be able to tackle that, the next course. But before that, we'll have that writing when you save and quit the game. So we'll check that for sure, maybe some options, but yeah, that we'll definitely play, at the very least, play the next course. Okay, so that all should be next time, which should be on Wednesday, unless plans change. And yeah, see you next time.